So what is the latest on the Spurs tank job?
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Spurs. We're here on the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for Ken's 5 San Antonio. Glad to have you back. Hope everybody's having a good week. It's hump day. Almost there. Stretch run to the weekend. What are we talking about today? We're going to be getting a draft update. How is the Spurs tank job, quote unquote, doing at this point of the season? Is it good? Is it bad? Where are they standing at? And by the way, Wemby and Scoot have been heavily promoted on ESPN. How have they been looking now that everybody's kind of getting a very up close and personal look at their play? And then finally, just how bad would it be for the Spurs if they miss out on picks 1 and 2? And who's going to be helping me do all this? You know, he's been a long time since he's been here. I've made several attempts to get him on, but apparently I get ignored until months later he realizes that I've been trying to get him on. Jack Thompson, my go-to guy for all things draft prospects, college players, the tank job. What happened? You just fell off the map, Jack?
The last couple times that you had asked me, I remember one specifically. I was traveling back from a vacation.
Yeah, I remember that.
So I just wasn't available for that one. And the time after that, I can't remember what happened. But yeah, I'm here now. So
I guess that's all that matters. Yeah, he is Jack Thompson with San Antonio Sports Star, co-host of the Saturday Morning Hangover. You can follow him on Twitter at Jack_Thompson33. Do it right now. Jack, you are my guy when it comes to all things college players, college basketball, the draft. So let's get to it. And look, a lot of Spurs fans are, I think, at that point already of, can we just fast forward to the lottery? I think that's where a lot of the fan base is. But look, as of right now, the Spurs do not have the worst record in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
Don't even have the second worst record. What is your prognosis? What is the diagnosis? What is the Jack Thompson review Cliff Notes version of the Spurs and their, I guess, chase for that top pick? How's the tank job going?
The tank job's, going pretty well. 4th worst record in the league. We're right there. We just need to beat the, bottom 3 to have the best percentage for the number 1 pick. So I would say it's going pretty well. There's been some games that, we've won, of course, that I wish we hadn't, but I think it's going pretty well. We have, basically half the season left. So I think the Spurs are doing pretty good with their tank job. We're bottom 3 in the NFL, or bottom 4 in the NBA, so that's great. There's a lot of time, to continue to drop, and I think with the Hornets getting LaMelo Ball back in the swing of things, that it'll be a pretty good chance that we can fall into that bottom 3. I'm not sure if we'll ever get below the Pistons or the Rockets, but I think that we've definitely got a shot to get in that bottom 3 for sure.
I think we got to make it very clear. The Spurs don't have to have the worst record, right? They're just going to have one of the 3 worst records. Is that correct?
Yes, 3 worst records in the NBA all get the same percentage for that number 1 pick.
So, and you're talking about wins that maybe they should not have won. I think that Detroit game, that was a game they could have, oops, turned the ball over. Oh, no, darn it, in that fashion. But I look at the state of the Spurs and their rebuild. How much does the tank job push forward if the Spurs were to trade your McDermott's, your Richardsons, and Pirtles?
I mean, it definitely pushes forward quite a bit, especially I think Richardson and Pirtle. Richardson's probably our best guy off the bench, and then Pirtle. If you get rid of your defensive anchor and your leading rebounder and center, then certainly things get a lot harder when it comes to winning games. So I think a trade of either or both of those guys, or all 3 of them, would definitely help us get to that bottom 3 without a doubt.
And in the rebuild in a tank season, what does Jack Thompson want to see the Spurs do if they were to flip those three veterans? Right now, Proto seems to be the hot topic right now.
Yeah.
A lot of reports coming out that teams are interested in. There's interest in him. That if the Spurs were to get a offer that they can't refuse, they might pull it. Like, what do you think would help the Spurs right now? Getting just more draft picks, or perhaps just getting younger, established players?
I think more draft picks would be better for the rebuild. We already have a bunch of, pretty young, established guys.
Mhm.
You got Trey, Devin, Keldon, Romeo Langford comes to mind. So we have a bunch of younger guys that have time in the league but are still pretty young when it comes to their NBA life. So I think for the long run, picks will definitely be more valuable.
You look at the guy Pirtle, because again, he's everywhere right now. He seems to be the biggest prize right now ahead of the NBA trade deadline. Do you think teams will give Spurs a DeJounte Murray type offer, or do you think it'll be something a little less?
Probably a little less because while Yak is a very, very good center, probably
Mhm.
right outside top 10 centers in the league, he's not a huge stat guy. Like, he doesn't put up enormous stat numbers. He does a lot of things that are not recorded in the stat book
Mhm.
really well, such as, help side defense, boxing out, just hockey assists on
Mhm.
passes. So I think definitely you get a good haul for him, but I don't think it would quite be what we got for DeJounte.
What would be a good haul, a reasonable one? Now, obviously, the Spurs are not going to get Luka Doncic, or they're not going to get Joker, that type of
Yeah.
level. But what would be a good haul that would put a smile on Jack Thompson?
Probably like unprotected first and maybe a young player or
Mhm.
maybe two first, like this one in the future, something like that. I don't really have a set like this is what we need for Yak because
Mhm.
there's going to be a ton of different offers thrown at us for him. So I would just say something along those lines. Anything that gets us a unprotected first in this draft, though, for
Mhm.
sure.
Yeah, yeah. I think the Spurs are going to be sitting pretty if they decide to go ahead and pull a trigger on an offer. And I think the, I guess, competition, quote unquote, to get him will be high. Athletic reported that Boston and Toronto are chasing him. Especially, you look at Boston, and if Boston were to add him to the mix, I mean, that's a
Yeah,
powerhouse right there. I mean,
yeah.
my goodness. So I
And
think
then,
perhaps, yeah, I
and
think
Toronto still wants him.
yeah, Toronto wants him back. There's that. So, in my opinion, I think the Spurs should, just whoever gives the highest offer. I mean, simple as that. Don't
Yeah,
jump at the first one. Don't jump at that
yeah,
first
definitely.
offer. Wait it out. Because, one, I would hate the Spurs to see Yak leave for nothing in the offseason. He's made it very clear, Jack, that he's willing to explore unrestricted free agency. And let's not forget that, everybody, he's an unrestricted free agent. Now, reportedly, there is an offer on the table for Pirtle, but he declined. And I think that was smart of him to do that, Jack. What are your thoughts?
I definitely think it's smart of him to decline the offer. I mean, I know his extension, at least for us, I'm not sure what we offered, but his extension would be like 4 years, 58 million, and he will definitely make much more than that on the open market. So definitely smart of him to decline and explore his options. I think Yak could be a very pivotal piece to a title run for a lot of teams. So
Mhm.
I think the offers are definitely going to come flowing in, and I think that they could be pretty substantial offers, no doubt about that.
Yeah.
And you don't want him to walk for nothing. That's literally worst case scenario. So I
Mhm.
think he'll be moved definitely.
Yeah.
But the caveat in that is Jakob. If we do win the Wimby sweepstakes, Jakob's kind of the perfect big to go along with
I
him.
know. I know.
So it's a tough situation for
Can
sure.
you It's funny you mentioned that because we're about to talk Wemby now, but can you imagine Jakob at the 5 and Wemby at the 4?
Yeah,
Oh my
that's
god.
kind of ideal because Jakob's a guy that you
Jeez.
never run any
Yeah.
plays for him. Extremely
Mhm.
smart, good passer.
Yeah.
He fit perfectly along with Wemby, so
Yeah.
it's tough to gamble on that.
Yeah, so in sum, I guess you would say, Jack, that the state of the tank, the rebuild, we'll say, is going along pretty well.
Oh
So
yeah,
far, nothing disastrous like they have, maybe the seventh worst record or something like that. Nothing like that.
yeah.
So there is a mix so far for those 3 spots. So that's pretty good. There's still a lot of games to play, everybody. So, there could be another. I mean, look, as of this recording, because this is recorded before the Brooklyn game, they're on a 5-game losing streak. So that definitely helps the rebuild / tank for Wemby or Scoot. Yeah, that's what we're going to talk about next. The United States, everybody is tuning in almost every time Scoot Henderson and Wembanyama are showcased on ESPN. Now they're
Hmm.
showing their games, and so we're going to get a little update on what those 2 players are showing Jack Thompson in just a few minutes. Once again, we're here with Jack Thompson of San Antonio Sports Star, co-host of the Saturday Morning Hangover. And before we continue, I want to thank everybody for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every day, free and available wherever you get podcasts. Also, want to talk to you about Rocket Money. Yeah, Rocket Money. Look, say goodbye to last year's outdated, disorganized methods of managing your money and say hello to Rocket Money, the better way to hack your finances in 2023. You need Rocket Money. Now, it's formerly known as Truebill, but what Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills all in one place. Over 80% of people have subscriptions they forgot about, like that streaming service that you bought just to watch a show. And then, that free trial that you never used and then started automatically charging you. Yeah, get rid of that. Rocket Money will quickly and easily identify your subscriptions for you so you can stop paying for the ones you don't want. Rocket Money makes canceling subscriptions easy as a click of a button. Just find the subscription you don't want, press cancel, Rocket Money will do the rest for you. No more long hold times with customer service or just endless emailing back and forth. Over 3 million people have used Rocket Money, saving an average person up to $720 a year. Now, stop throwing away your money. Cancel unwanted subscriptions right now. Manage your expenses the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/LockedOnNBA, rocketmoney.com/LockedOnNBA. Once again, rocketmoney.com/LockedOnNBA. We're back with Jack Thompson. He is with San Antonio Sports Star and co-host of the Saturday Morning Hangover. And we're catching up on all things NBA draft and now specifically the prizes, the 2 biggest prizes in the upcoming NBA draft, Victor Wembanyama and Scoot Henderson. Jack, I'm pretty sure you've been tuning into all their G League games or in this for Victor,
Oh yeah.
his French games. We'll start off with the Wemby. What are you seeing out of him as he's getting more playing time, more time on the court ahead of the draft?
Well, I mean, it's a lot of the same. Everything that kid does seems to be pretty amazing. And what I would say what's most impressive is he's consistently stayed amazing. He doesn't really, I haven't seen him really have an off game because even if he's not scoring, he's able to do so many other things for his team, whether that's assists, defending the rim, rebounding, just he's able to attack the game at every facet. So, the term unicorn is definitely thrown around too much,
Mhm.
but this man is absolutely a unicorn. There is nothing like him, and yeah, he's phenomenal to watch. He's gonna take the NBA by storm for sure.
What are you seeing on the offensive end that's really been opening your eyes from Wemby?
Ah, man, I mean, at this point, I'm just not shocked when he does anything. But the fact that he's 7'5" and able to shoot threes the way he does never ceases to amaze me. So I would say that facet of his game is still really, really eye opening.
And what about on the defensive end? He's just a beast as well.
Yeah, he's a great defender, can guard basically any position with his length. He's an elite rim protector. He blocks a lot of jump shots, which is incredibly hard to time. So he just got a great basketball IQ and can affect the game everywhere on both sides of the ball.
That's great to hear, Jack. Obviously we know Wemby is just the generational type player. But why am I nervous about his frame? I'm nervous about that frame. He just looks so frail out there. Reminds me of Sean Bradley, those type of players that, one bad fall and there goes his knee or his ankle or there goes his elbow. Is that a concern?
I mean, yeah, I suppose that's a concern, but with a guy that is as generational as this guy, you can't be worrying about that. You got to go all in on him. You got to get him instantly into the training room, get his body right. And yeah, certainly he's frail, but he's still a kid. Like he's still a young kid out here. So his body's going to continue to mature and develop. And I think, the way that he plays the game, he's not playing at an explosive type of play, whether that's like high above the rim. He barely has to jump to dunk the ball. He's not, overly quick, so he's not making super hard cuts or anything like that could hurt his knees. So I think that also benefits his slighter build. But I think, with time and work in the gym and on his diet and everything and getting his body right, that he'll be able to put on some muscle for sure. But that you see guys in the league that are, slight of build that have already had great careers. I mean, look at Kevin Durant. Yeah. No one would say that he's a thick guy by any stretch, but he's one of the, greatest players to ever play the game. So I think that's kind of something you got to push from your mind when you're talking about Wemby and not really worry about it until something like that does happen, if it does. Mm-hmm. So I think that I try my best not to worry about that when I'm thinking about what could be if we get Wemby.
And then there's Scoot Henderson, the projected number 2 pick in the upcoming NBA draft. Now you go from slight to a teenager who looks like he's stepped out of Bruce Banner's laboratory. He's just thick, huge, stocky, strong already. Mm-hmm. Dazzles on the court. I want to start on the defensive end. That's what I've been interested in. We know what he can do offensively, but defensively, how is he?
There's always room to grow on the defensive end, but a positive for Scoot is he's just an extreme competitor. And when it comes to defense, I mean, that's literally all, competitive spirit and the willingness to sacrifice, your stamina and whatever away from offense and transfer it to defense so you can be that kind of lockdown guy. And I see that in Scoot. He's an extremely competitive guard. He's got the build and the frame and the athleticism to be a very good defender. So I think that'll just come with more time playing the position.
Right. Yeah, and I agree with you. I think that'll just come with time. And for him and Wemby to obviously fill out their bodies, Scoot may be on a faster track to fill out his body, but nevertheless, they are hands down the 2 best picks. And I guess what I'm hearing from you, Jack, is so far so good and what you're seeing from Wemby and Scoot, right? Everything's fine. Like they're the real deal, right? There's not hype overload, is it?
No, these guys are absolutely the real deal. 2 of the best prospects at their position we've seen in I don't know how long, over a decade for sure. These guys are generational talents, both of them.
Wow. All right. Well, you heard from Jack about Wemby and Scoot and how they're looking so far. But what is the worst case scenario? What happens if the Spurs lose a bunch of games only to fall out of the top 2 picks? We're going to discuss that next with Jack Thompson of San Antonio Sports Star right here on Locked On Spurs. But before we do that, I want to talk to you about BetOnline. BetOnline.net is your number 1 source for sports betting information, stats, news, and analysis. Get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there, from pro football to basketball, everything. They got it all covered at BetOnline.net. And if you love sports podcasts, you can find those as well over on BetOnline. I go there for NBA prop futures. I love seeing that, like the awards, Coach of the Year, Most Improved Player. I love to see that. Yeah, there's several Spurs listed in some awards, if you can believe that, despite they're having a down season. They're there. Go check it out at BetOnline.net. Always the fastest and easiest way to get your betting info. Head to the website today. You got yourself a mobile device, a laptop, a computer, a cell phone, whatever you got to do. Go there right now to learn more. Bet online. It's where the game starts. We're back with Jack Thompson. He is with San Antonio Sports Star. Follow him on Twitter at Jack_Thompson33. Do it right now because I need you to just pile on him for snubbing me for months now to come on Locked On Spurs.
Hey, also, my dad's jealous, man. He's jealous you never asked him to come on. I was talking to him yesterday. Give him a shout.
All right. Well, you know what? You know what I would love to do? We can get this if we can get this done. A father-son.
Oh yeah, we can absolutely get that going.
That will be fun too. You know what? I'm going to write that down on my mental Rolodex. I'm going to write that down. My mental notebooks. I showed my age right there by saying Rolodex. So let's go. Let's just get out of here now. But no, I'm definitely gonna. I may take that idea up on you there, Jack and Rob Thompson. So yeah, coming soon to Locked On Spurs, the father-son tag team we're gonna treat like a WWE event. Just had a gun then out of San Antonio from the stars. It's the duo stars, Jack and Rob Thompson. Then bring y'all in a WWE style. But hey, one thing that I think is on the minds of the Spurs fans is worst case scenario. You know, they go through a season, a down season. The Spurs bottom out, bunch of L's, nothing really to cheer for, and then comes a lottery, and they miss out on drafting picks 1 or 2. Is that so disastrous? I guess what I'm trying to get at is, I mean, what is salvageable after pick number 2? Is there a power player that could come into San Antonio at the 3rd or 4th, 5th spot if the Spurs fall within that spot?
Oh yeah, there are certainly very, very intriguing and high level prospects behind Scoot and Wemby. It's not the end of the world if we don't get either of those guys, because there are some guys in college, and specifically one of the Thompson twins that plays for Overtime Elite, that they can absolutely be very, very good players, and eventually all-stars are even better. They have that type of upside. So yeah, it's not the end of the world if we don't get one of those two guys.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, but you just hear the words generational slapped on with Wemby and Scoot, but you don't hear that when you mention like Thompson's. But let's just say, hypothetically, the Spurs miss out. You know, the card comes out, and I'm making this up. At pick number 4, it's the San Antonio Spurs, or pick number 5 or 3, whatever. Is that 3rd, 4th, or 5th pick player going to make an immediate impact, or they're going to be kind of like that little slow burn as we're seeing with Sohan right now? You know, he's catching fire now, but he started off a little bit of a slow burn. How do you project one of those players coming into San Antonio not named Wemby or Scoot?
I mean, I think there are definitely some that could come in and make an immediate impact. Some that come to mind, obviously, there's I definitely believe there are some guys outside of Scoot and Wemby that can come in and make an immediate impact. Some that come to mind, I mean, I'm not really sure what position we would be drafting at that point, because those two guys are kind of our bigger needs in terms of a big, lanky, athletic guy and a lead guard. But there are definitely some, lead guards behind Scoot that could come in and make an immediate impact. Nick Smith, Amon Thompson, Anthony Black are probably my highest rated guards. Those are respectively 2 from Arkansas and 1 from Overtime Elite. There's, some other combo forwards that I love a lot. Brandon Miller, who has been the best freshman in college basketball at Alabama, averaging close to 20 a game. And then there's Cam Whitmore, who goes to Villanova, a 6'8", small forward, power forward type guy that can really score the ball and is hyper athletic around the rim. So there are definitely guys that can come in that have great upside and could possibly make an immediate impact if we're not getting one of those first 2 guys.
So, even if the Spurs fall at 2, I mean, that definitely is still a win for San Antonio, right?
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. Sure, it's not Wemby, but oh no, not Scoot Henderson kind of thing, right? Like, I'm just curious, how big of an impact on the court? Because promotional wise, selling tickets wise, we know Wemby or Scoot are going to do it, but on the court, can you see either player just transforming the team overnight? Like we saw, remember when Tim Duncan came overnight from a 20-win season to a 50-win season, Dave Robinson, a 21 season to a 55-win season. Are we expecting that type of transformation from either of those two, or is that going to still be kind of a slow burn as well?
Yeah, I'm not really sure we see something like that. The only difference is, Tim played, 4 years at
Wake Forest.
Wake Forest. So he was, a man when he came out. He had been there. He played a ton of basketball at a high level. These guys are, they're coming out after what would be, their freshman year in high school, or their freshman year in college, rather. So they still have a lot to learn themselves, and their body still has to continue to develop. They have to develop mentally. So it's definitely still going to be a learning curve for both of those guys. So if we do manage one of them, don't be surprised if, the next season we're still not that good. It's not
Okay.
going to be an overnight type thing where we jump from 20 to 40 or 50 games. We might get 10 more, 15 more wins out of them because of the way that they can impact the game. And I think off the bat, Scoot will probably translate to more wins than Wemby would.
Interesting.
Because he is the guard, he has the ball in his hands, he makes the decisions, and he's been doing that. Wemby's coming in from being, the best player, the most intriguing prospect wherever he's been, the tallest, most athletic guy, to a league with guys that are, not as tall, but more athletic, much stronger, stuff like that. So I think the physicality curve for Wemby is going to be more of a shock than it would be for Scoot. So
yeah,
I think right off the bat, Scoot might translate to more wins, but Wemby obviously has the tremendous more upside. So it's not going to be an overnight thing with either of them.
Right. It'll be a spike in wins, but not too much, right?
Yeah,
maybe challenge for the play-in, that kind of thing. You think so?
Maybe.
Yeah.
We have the roster construct to do that, but if that means we're getting rid of Pirtle, who are we going to be running at center? And that is a big thing. So I would say look at the Orlando Magic as a pretty solid comp. They were terrible last year. They got Paolo at 1, and they're still pretty terrible this year. So, and Paolo is, a generational type talent. So it's not going to be an overnight thing. And of course, we have a better built roster than they do. So it might translate a little bit more to us getting more wins, but it's not going to be we suddenly go from, one of the worst teams in the league to locked in playoff or competing for a play. I think competing for a play-in would be pretty near the top of the ceiling.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think it definitely puts them in contention for a play-in.
Yeah,
I think it does, because you mentioned the current roster, and they're getting the experience this season. They're taking their lumps nightly now. Is what it feels like. Every day they're learning. So you put that together, an off season, a full training camp, bring in the new kid. Let's just say it's Wemby or Scoot or one of you mentioned the Thompson guys. Boom. I think they're ahead of the curve. Perhaps ahead of their rebuild. So we'll definitely see. But hey, Jack, thanks for stopping on Locked On Spurs, giving us a Wemby Scoot state of the tank update. We definitely appreciate it. I'm not too much of a college guy. That's why I leaned heavily on you this episode, because you are the guy we go to here in Locked On Spurs. And we're done talking. We want to hear from you. What do you think about Scoot Wemby, the state of the tank? Let us know. You can let Jack know on Twitter at Jack_Thompson33. Jack, brag about the Star. What you guys got cooking over there?
Oh yeah, SA Sports Star. Every week we've got shows all day throughout the week. We've got R&R in the morning, then we hit you at halftime, and then we finish it off at the Blitz. That's every day. weekday. And then, of course, you wake up a little early on Saturdays. You're kind of missed out on stuff throughout the week. You got Pledger and myself holding it down on The Hangover, where we'll hit all the major sports storylines throughout the week. We like to keep it funny and fresh, kind of offbeat, just kind of doing our own thing, like we're talking at a bar, talking sports. So, yeah, I mean, if you are a sports fan, but you don't have the time to watch things on TV, definitely tap into the SA Sports Star any day of the week or online. You can check out all the show replays at sasportstar.com, and we'll keep you up to date on every sports storyline there is throughout the week. No doubt about that.
Little birdie told me that somebody might be stopping in studio soon.
Hey, nice.
Me. So just heads up, Jack. You may see me coming on this weekend or next weekend. Yeah,
I'm ready for it.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to it too. I just gotta coordinate with James, your co-host there, and we'll get things square. But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to joining you guys in studio. Subscribe to Locked On Spurs wherever you get your favorite podcast: Google Play, Stitcher, iTunes. The list goes on and on. And make your second listen game to game, NBA game to game. You got to check it out. It's on the Locked On NBA network. It catches up everything on the latest, NBA scores, NBA storylines. The list goes on and on. Once again, check out Locked On Game to Game NBA. So for Jack Thompson, I am Jeff Garcia. We're putting a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.